So I'll do one more. I always say that. But this is what these people would do. Well, how come you don't see your mother? I heard that from the time I got married till the time I got divorced. Well, how come you don't see your mother? Your mother don't like you, and that's why you're not going to get any of your assets. Your half family doesn't like you, and that's why you're not going to get any of your assets. How come you don't see any members of your half family? And they would say family, and these are half family. And I never even used to say half family because I would be on if I didn't consider them. This was huge with my mother and my grandmother, that they weren't half family. They were my full brothers and sister. That's the way I treated them up until recently. I said half family because the abuse has to stop, because these people have caused an insurmountable such destruction in my life now that there's no way to fix anything. Okay? So this is why I'm talking about it, because nobody should have to be put through this kind of hell when you're the victim of this kind of abuse. So these people played games throughout my marriage, because every time I went for Christmas to my in-laws, which, was a problem to begin with, oftentimes I was put through the ringer about jobs and different things. How come you don't see your family? Where's your mother? How come your mother doesn't come to different activities and different events? And I would often get this at work. And actually I didn't know why, because every time I saw my mother, she would laugh and joke and say she was busy with her friends. And this went on when I was a kid too. The Me Six and her friend Red and all these people in Broad Albin and Amsterdam. My mother was very popular, which was great. She went off with her friends, and she told me repeatedly nobody's going to stop her from going out, and she didn't care. She was going to go out. She didn't want to be a mother. She didn't want to be home, yada, yada, yada. Okay, that's her. Well, the rest of the family would play games too. And I didn't have much family. It was just me and my grandmother. This was all the extended half family through my mother's boyfriend that played games also. So they wouldn't invite me to things and reunions. Now, why are you bringing it up now? Yes, why am I? Because I could not get assets in a divorce because of these people. Because this is what was used to allege. And my ex-husband was all involved with these people. So he played this, that somehow nobody wanted anything to do with me because I had mental health issues. Because these people have been doing this a long, long, long time behind my back. And it's only recently that I had to put it together myself, because the court system and law enforcement refused to do their job because their family members were involved, because their family members were playing games, because their family members were friends of Bud Bays, Bonnie Bays, Lenny Bays, who has since also passed away. And Bonnie continues to play games, don't you, Bonnie? You've played games right from the beginning when we were kids. I had nothing to do with who my mother's boyfriends were. Okay, that was her boyfriend. I was a little girl. I was 5 years old. Okay, and you all get together and you make up this stuff all the time, and it's got to stop. And then you do the smear campaign towards me. I went on with my life. The problem is y'all use this into my divorce. I don't even know anything about you, Bonnie. I've never been in your business. I've never said an ill word about you. I never said anything about Lenny until he moved into my mother's house, and y'all got together, put me on the street, and made up a bunch of things over on Henry Street, because you lived around the corner, didn't you? And people were upstairs in the attic causing problems, doing stuff, which has been in every apartment that I've tried to rent. And then Robin tells me it's witchcraft. Oh, yes, there was witchcraft going in there because y'all like to dress up and harass and do things. And I could go on in that direction, but we'll stop with the witchcraft today because it's a joke to harass someone. It's a joke to convince someone they're crazy. And this started as soon as I got married, this idea of crazy. I went up to the lake house. You're crazy with all your friends Schumachers there. Huh, Holly? You're all friends with this Karen Hetrick and her sister Debbie and Kathy Crawford, and y'all got together and told me how crazy I was because I worked hard on my home, and I expected my assets too, and my new car and my dog and my stuff. But y'all got together with these people like a bunch of harpies, going on and on how crazy I am. And I didn't even know what was going on. I was in shock. I was in shock because I had just been sexually assaulted. And y'all didn't care about that either. Because Mary Alice has been up there doing this numerous times. She came to my house numerous times, walking in front of it with the nurses from the hospital, laughing, joking, making things up about me. And it's got to stop because she knew her ex-husband had problems. She knew Vinny had problems. You knew Vinny had problems. His best friend Flan knew Vinny had problems. Everybody knew. Instead of getting him some help, you smear this all around and turn it out on me. And actually, last time I saw him, he was up to the gym getting me kicked out of the gym, because he stalked me until the end of his life. And had he been in recovery like he was supposed to, like y'all said he was, when I went over there to try to talk to him, he should have been man enough to open the door and said, look, Rhonda, this has to stop. Yes, it does have to stop, because I had put it behind me as a child. I didn't know y'all continued this into my marriage. So when I went to get a divorce, this is what they used. This is what Mr. Flanagan used to make up a bunch of lies so I would be out on the street and told somehow that I was a prostitute, that somehow I had problems because I didn't have children. I'm not a pedophile. I never was, and it has nothing to do with not having children. And we can talk about why I didn't have children, because again, I'm constantly attacked for why I didn't have children. And we know that, Holly, don't we, with that STD? Because we all know that Flan was inappropriate, not only with my mother, but you and him were quite chummy those years before I even met him. That he claimed he didn't know that Vinny had a little cousin. So all this stuff is coming back around and around and around again. And I was told I couldn't carry. And we had conversations about that, didn't we? So this stuff needs to stop. You need to stop digging up stuff about me when it's actually about the family, or your family in particular, because you keep making this stuff up and it keeps coming round and round and round. And I wouldn't care if right now I'm not sitting here trying to figure out where I'm going to live again, because you all continue. Because you all continued. You destroyed my home. You destroyed my garden. You destroyed all this stuff. And you continue and say you're innocent. You continue to cover up for these people. You continue to cover up for Tony Rogers with all the stories with him. You continued to cover up for Vinny. You continued to cover up for your own mother while you constantly lecture me about my behavior, which I wasn't involved in any of this, because none of you would come to visit. And when finally when my mother came, it was because Renee had passed away and I went to see her. So it all needs to stop, and it's going to slowly unravel, because now I am able to talk about the truth, and I'm going to continue to talk about it, because I should be able to see people in the family. I should be able to live my life. I should be able to be free of this constant abuse and harassment, because I was a victim of it. I wasn't the perpetrator, and we need to get this story straight.